No, ask the History Channel if old stuff doesn't.
Right, and
work.
I love the History Channel. I love the History Channel.
Ask.
Classic sports is insane.
No, it
I don't care what
It
you say.
exists.
It's great.
Listen.
Watching old boxing, old
It's cool as hell.
basketball,
Okay.
old football.
Getting to watch like an
But
Ali
listen.
fight that you watched when you were like a really young person, and now
Listen.
you're an adult. You can see it.
But to
from
have a
video
whole
now?
channel,
Hey,
y'all tripping,
why not?
cuz.
Hey,
Why not?
so why should we play classic hip hop?
It's not the same thing, and you know it. A
classic.
song is a song,
In a fight,
meant to be enjoyed repeatedly.
I wish.
That signifies the
Listen,
success of
Except for
I
certain
hip
songs.
hop. It's a
I
people
wish
don't
I could
get.
go to the Coliseum channel
and
and watch those
somebody
people get
eaten
ripped
by a lion.
by a lion. I swear,
He
they
would,
didn't
though.
have
You
cameras.
all
He
are
would,
just
though.
I
really.
wish.
Very mean.
I wish Shakespeare had cameras in the Globe.
You need to get, y'all need to get together.
Speaking of sports, Jigga Man was in the news this week,
I'm
in
fine.
in a good way though. Let me just tell you this. This is where we
Your
this
species
is where we
is in
segue.
trouble.
This is where we
Oh.
segue right
Oh.
into sports.
Right into sports.
Okay, so
Jigga.
Jigga Man, as you know, is also a part owner of a
Agent.
basketball team, the Nets, which he gave up to become an agent. So I'm turning
So
on.
that
the-
would be was.
So I turn on the news yesterday morning, and I listened to Boomer Carton. Okay, with Boomer
course you
Esiason
Of course
and
you
Craig
do.
Carton. Okay. So nonetheless, well, because in the morning when I'm driving my
We don't need
son,
an explanation.
I want him to not hear, whack hip hop, and I don't want him to hear cursing or anything.
Why don't
so
you put
he can listen to some
Sesame
sports.
Street
Indoctrination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
young man, and
Yeah.
I have to
I think
indoctrinate him.
Inculturation.
Indeed.
Y'all
Must be a
I
young
think he
Spartan
had-
as is his.
forced to watch football at 2.
Well, he has
And
a
basketball.
little,
Just
Which
in
he points to
little
gleefully.
Rutgers
and
onesie.
baseball.
He points to it gleefully. He goes, "Eh!" And he points at it.
Just
Um,
sad.
So, they were going on and on. Well, let me just give you the backdrop. There's a baseball player for the Yankees called Robinson Cano. He's one of the best players in the game.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Robinson Cano has been testing the
Is
free
he
agent
cute?
market. I don't know.
Wait a minute.
Go on.
Okay, so he's
Jay-Z signed Robbie?
yeah. That's his player. So he goes. So the Yankees offered him. Now, mind you, we're talking about lots of money here. So this
Lots.
guy is 31 years old. The Yankees offered him something in the neighborhood of like 7 years, 100 and I think it was 20 million, 125 million, something nice.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, I'm going to test the free agent market. So he tested the free agent market. So the other day, a story comes up that he was out in Seattle talking to the baseball team out there, the Mariners, about a deal. So it came back that the deal that was offered, and this is where the sports gets obsessive and silly, but the media, there's this line in Redman where he says, y'all act stupid and I act stupid right along with you. Well, that's what the sports media does. So sports media gets real crazy in that they follow these things. And, he went and drank a soda at 1 o'clock, almost that ridiculous. So they had inside information that was offered to him was a $225 million contract over 8 years.
Ooh.
And that he was going to go sign with the Mariners. Okay. So that's the story they came away with. So yesterday was Friday, so Thursday that was the story they were running with. So I turned on the radio on Friday morning, and it's Boomer Carton, and they go, oh! Robinson Cano was getting ready to get this fat deal, $225 million over 8 years. And you know what happened? He goes out to Seattle, and Jay-Z, his agent, blows it for him. So they're reading from this story with in the Daily News of New York. And the headline to the story, Robinson Cano had a bid to join the Seattle Mariners, blown by super agent Jay-Z.
Super agent.
According to sources.
And when did he become a super
The
agent?
Mariners' efforts to lure Robinson Cano to Seattle at the latest $200 million player have apparently ended on a sour note this Friday morning. According to two sources. Now again, this goes to what I've talked about with these fundies, the fundamentals. Look, in the old days, you could quote an anonymous source. But if that anonymous source blows up in your face, understand that you're fired. That's it.
Yeah.
You messed up like that.
See ya.
You came out and said you got an anonymous source. You're fired.
Yes.
clean your desk out.
Adios.
I want you out of here before dinner time because I got to eat dinner and I do not want to see your sorry face across from me while you're writing your retraction and I'm firing you and you're packing up. And it wasn't like a joking thing.
No.
It was for
You're
real.
done.
Like, because if you're not done by 5:01, I'm calling building security, and they're going to help you pack up your desk, and you're leaving.
See? Yeah.
For real. And don't think you're going to work in this town again, because it's not happening. Okay?
All that to
that's
say.
the stakes. So, they write this story in the Daily News, very reputable paper.
Yeah.
According to two sources briefed on the negotiations, talks between the Mariners, the free agent second baseman's lone stalking horse, and Cano's camp, led by rapper-turned-super agents Jay-Z and CAA's Brody Van Wagenen, who's supposed to be like an experienced negotiator for I don't know either, but this is what they're saying, collapsed after Jay-Z overplayed his hand during Thursday night's negotiation session. Cano and his entourage arrived in Seattle with what sources describe as basically an 8-year, $200 million deal in hand, along with assurances that Seattle would go to 9 years and $225 million, a figure confirmed late Thursday night by the Daily News. But when Jay-Z then upped the ante and demanded 10 years and $252 million, the same deal Alex Rodriguez took to leave Seattle over a decade ago, Mariners chairman and CEO Howard Lincoln apparently exploded, according to one of the sources, ending the meeting. It doesn't look like we're getting him, a Mariners source said, adding that Seattle did not seem inclined to reignite the talks with the player that clearly didn't want to go there.
F you, Jiggle.
A spokesman for Rock Nation Sports and CAA cited the agency's policy and declined to comment on the situation. You know why? Because they're in the middle of a negotiation.
Duh.
Okay? So they write this as fact for the Daily News and go all in. And the original offer was $225 million offer that had dwarfed the Yankees' current offer of $165 to $170 million, leaving Seattle more than $50 million ahead of the Bombers, who are believed to be willing to go as high as $175 million for Cano. He's that good. He's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be
Really
one of the
good.
highest paid players in the game. So, with that being said, I listened to Boomer and Carton, and they're all in. Oh, Jay-Z blew it. He overplayed his deal. And then Carton gets real crazy.
Says,
oh, well, you know, this is what Jay-Z has to learn. I mean, he's talking, he's dealing in the music industry and in hip-hop. This isn't hip-hop, this is business. You have to understand that. You get that, dog?
Yeah, and how about this? It's
I was like,
yo, this
don't
dude,
you know that, like, Jay-Z might be on a plane on his way to take his willy out and slap you for even contemplating having a conversation with his name in your mouth.
you know, but once again,
Like, you don't really understand. This guy's a
there's
multi-millionaire,
millionaire.
businessman,
End of story.
great
How about this?
artist, but